So I keep coming across all of these social media posts and sometimes even YouTube videos of people complaining about Ubuntu. For some reason, it has become very fashionable in recent years to really hate on Ubuntu for some reason. And I find it odd because I install Ubuntu on tons of people's computers. It is something I've installed probably on 100 different people's computers, people that were coming from Windows and or Mac, and they wanted to try Linux because their Windows machine was slow or it's old or whatever. And most of those people I will put on Ubuntu. Some of them I'll put on Mint. Zorin OS is one I've done occasionally. Linux Lite, MX Linux is another one. But most of them I put on the main edition of Ubuntu with the GNOME desktop. And I've never, ever had a single person tell me that they didn't love Ubuntu. Like when they first switched from Windows to Ubuntu, it's like the most amazing thing ever. Most of them are absolutely thrilled when they start using Ubuntu because it's so much better and faster than Windows, yada, yada, yada. We all know that experience. Anybody that has ever switched from Windows to Linux knows that initial feeling of, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And, the people that complain about Ubuntu are not new users. And this is what really bugs me. I hate it when people complain about things that they really have no reason to complain for. People that complain about things that they don't have to subject themselves to. I find that very annoying because you see this often in life. This is just not a tech thing, but people in life complain about things. They complain about people that they don't have to be around because they're not family members, right? They complain about this person or that person that's not a coworker or something, just somebody, some random person out in life, and they're always complaining about them. Well, quit being around them, right? That solves the problem. But people love to complain about things that they don't have to subject themselves to. Or here's another one. People complain about stores or restaurants. Oh, this person, they messed up my order again at this fast food joint. Well, quit going to that fast food joint if it's a problem, right? I don't want to hear about those kinds of issues. And the people complaining about Ubuntu are often these people that don't really use Ubuntu, or Ubuntu is not really the distribution they should be using now. You've outgrown Ubuntu in many cases. If you're somebody that's complaining about Ubuntu, it means you've probably just outgrown it, right? You were a new user and Ubuntu was great, but now the more you learn about Linux and the more you get into customization and tinkering and, stripping everything down and building it back up, Ubuntu is totally the wrong distribution for somebody like that. Somebody like me, for instance. I love tiling window managers. I love customizing my own desktop. I love picking and choosing all the components for my desktop. I love customizing my software. I love scripting and programming and things like that. And for me, Ubuntu is the wrong distribution because it comes with a complete desktop and a suite of apps, none of which I would use, right? And that suite of apps, they're all tied into this big meta package, the Ubuntu desktop package. So it's really hard to strip pieces that you don't want out without ripping the whole desktop environment out, right? And then people complain, one of the biggest complaints people have with Ubuntu these days is it's very hard to remove snaps from the system, to completely remove Snapd from Ubuntu. Well, if you don't like snaps, and snaps are a fundamental part of Ubuntu, like it's one of the core components, then just don't use Ubuntu, right? There's no reason to complain about it. Like, I really don't get it. Of course, I don't get it too because I don't mind snaps. I'm not one of these people that kind of hate on snaps or Flatpaks or app images or any of those containerized formats. I know a lot of people have problems with them. I don't. But even if I did, I would never complain about them. I don't complain about pieces of software that I don't use. That's like the dumbest thing ever to do, to complain about a piece of software that you don't use or you don't have to use. You're free to go install any other Linux distribution on the planet. For example, if you want Ubuntu without snaps, Linux Mint exists, right? But then people will complain, yeah, but Linux Mint doesn't have like a default GNOME edition that's set up the way Ubuntu has. So yeah, I get Ubuntu without snaps, but then I have to do Cinnamon or Monte, and I don't want that. I want GNOME. Again, you've outgrown these distributions. You've outgrown Ubuntu, you've outgrown Mint. If you're one of these people that complain about being fed a pre-built distribution with a full desktop environment that's already customized and a suite of applications, you have graduated to the point you need to be using a distribution like Arch Linux, for example, or Gen 2, or some minimal distribution that you build from the ground up and that doesn't come with any pre-customized stuff, right? When there's nothing wrong with that. Once you've graduated to that point, you should be on something like Arch and not Ubuntu. I've been on Arch for years. I've never said a bad thing about Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu is totally not the distribution I would use now because I've grown as a Linux user. But that doesn't mean Ubuntu's a bad distribution. Ubuntu's a great distribution. Ask any new user. And again, I've put hundreds of people on Ubuntu. And it is fantastic for the brand new to Linux user who doesn't care about the operating system at all. They don't want to learn about the operating system. They just want a computer that works. Ubuntu is about as good as it gets when it comes to a user-friendly Linux distribution. It really is. So the people that love to trash Ubuntu, it makes my brain hurt a little bit, like watching these people and their mental gymnastics try to twist Ubuntu and like this evil thing, right? And, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the mood for a rant today. I'm sitting here in the car and it's kind of hot. The heat, and the humidity got me a little pissed off, so I felt like ranting. But hopefully I'm not the only one that finds it really annoying when these people complain about things, again, that they really don't have to subject themselves to in the first place. Anyway, food for thought. Peace, guys.